after that. Two things I wanted to say before we start. First thing was language ගැන. Then most may copy මේ session එකේ mostly I would be doing in English. මම පුළුවන් තරම් සිංහලෙන් කතා කරන්නම්. ඒත් technical words ටිකයි terms ටිකයි මම English එකෙන් තමයි බොහෝ විට කියන්නේ. And ඒකත් ඔයගලන්ටත් මම හිතන්නේ ඒක it would be more useful English එකෙන් කරත්. ඒ ඉදිරියට යද්දී හැම එකක්ම English එකෙන් තමයි කරන්න වෙන්නේ. අනිත් එක management accounting එකේ අපේ syllabus එකේ until the mid එකේ තියෙන්නේ ගොඩක්ම technical area එකක්. cost accounting එක තමයි full එකටම තියෙන්නේ mid එක වෙනකන් තියෙන්නේ only cost accounting. cost accounting කියන්නේ fully technical area එකක්. ඒක තේරුම් ගන්න අවශ්‍ය කරන concepts ටිකයි අර background එකයි ඔයගලන්ට තේරුම් කරන්න තමයි මම හදන්නේ. That would be my effort. ඒත් exam එකට හොඳින් මුහුණ දීලා හැම ප්‍රශ්නයකටම උත්තරයක් දෙන්න. ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඒ technical skill එක දිනු කරගන්න ඕනේ. ඒ technical skill එක දිනු කරන්න මේ session එකේ session එකට පස්සේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ questions ටිකක් practice කරන්න ඕනේ on your own. I would be trying to do mostly one question or two questions from one area. My main aim would be to try to make you all understand what we are studying here. මොකද්ද මේ වෙන්නේ, මොකද්ද කොහොමද ඒක කරන්නේ, ඇයි ඒක කරන්නේ, ඒක තේරුම් කරවන්න තමයි මගේ මේ මූලික උත්සාහය වෙන්නේ. ඒත් ඒ technical skill එක මේ දිනු කරගන්න. You all have to do questions on your own. And let me start sharing the screen. One more thing, if there are any questions, please raise them. Clear them as soon as they arise. Or මගේ speaker එක ඉස්සර වැඩ කරේ නෑ. දැන් වැඩ කරනවා මේ earphone එක දාලා තියෙන හින්දා y'all can unmute yourself and ask the questions or chat එකේ දාන්න පුළුවන්. chat එකේ දානට වඩා unmute කරොත් හොඳයි. මම screen එක present කරන් ඉද්දී මම හිතන්නේ chat එක පේනවා කියලා මට. All right. So අද session එකේ plan එක ඇවිල්ලා first chapter එකේ 60% වගේ cover කරගන්න. First chapter එකේ 60% cover කරගෙන second chapter එකෙත් around 60% cover කරගන්න. ඇයි මම first chapter එකේ 60% කියන්නේ? First chapter එකේ balance 40% අපිට ඉදිරියට යද්දී අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒගොල්ලෝ first chapter එකේ මේ overview of management accounting කියන එකෙන් අපිට දීලා තියෙන්නේ ඉදිරි chapters වලට අවශ්‍ය කරන knowledge එක around 60%. ඉතිරි 40% එක ඒගොල්ලෝ මේ ටිකක් අර new trends ගැන පොඩ්ඩක් කතා කරනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ future එකේ if you all are in the accounting department or if you all decide to choose management accounting as an elective subject in the future examinations, you all would come across certain lessons such as life cycle costing, target costing, throughput accounting, the JIT system. ඒ වගේ you will come across certain areas. ඒ areas වලට පොඩ්ඩක් hint එකක් දීලා තියෙනවා මේ වගේ ඒවා තියෙනවා කියලා ඉදිරියට. ඒ කැලල මම කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඒත් ඒක exam එකට කොහොමත් එයි. ඒක ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තනියම කියවලා තේරුම් ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ තේරුම් ගැනීම ඉදිරි chapters වලට අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ නැහැ. All right. So let's start off. First thing we need to establish is what this accounting is. Accounting කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? මේ definition එක we have come across in our A levels as well as in many occasions. Accounting is simply the process of providing information for economic decision making. Accounting කියලා කියන්නේ the process of providing information for economic decision making. If you take an organization, they have to make decisions. In order to make decisions, more specifically economic decisions. Economic decisions කියන්නේ decisions regarding allocation of resources, scarce resources, and decisions regarding involving money. All right. ඒ වගේ decisions make කරන්න any organization needs information. All right. ඒක තේරුම් ගන්න ලේසි. දැන් ඒ information එක provide කරන process එකට කියන්නේ අපි accounting කියලා. ඇයි ඒක process එකක්? If you look at financial accounting, the process we have learned during A levels, transaction and events will take place, and then we will record them in source documents, prime entry books, general ledger, trial balance prepare කරනවා. ඊට පස්සේ financial statements හදනවා. We know that financial accounting එක process එක අපි දන්නවා. ඒ වගේ accounting in its whole is a process of providing information for the economic decision making, for the economic decision making of users. හරිද? දැන් මේ accounting කියන එක දෙකට බෙදිනවා. Financial accounting and management accounting කියලා. ඕනම area එකක්, ඕනම දෙයක් දෙකට බෙදෙද්දී there is always a basis. All right, there is always a basis. Now we learned, let's say in the first semester of our university, අපි ඉගෙන ගත්තා මේ BUS එක යටතේ decisions කියන එක දෙකට බෙදෙනවා කියලා. අපි ඉගෙන ගත්තේ decisions දෙකට බෙදෙනවා, programmed and non programmed කියලා. මතක නැත්නම් කමක් නැහැ. We learned that decisions කියන එක programmed and non programmed කියලා බෙදෙනවා. ඇයි මේ programmed and non programmed කියලා බෙදුනේ? ඇයි why can't we divide decisions or classify decisions as right decisions and wrong decisions? ගන්න තීරණ හරි නම් එක right decisions, වැරදි නම් wrong decisions. ඇයි එහෙම classify කරේ නැත්තේ? Why can't we classify decisions as emotional decisions and let's say political decisions? ඒ වගේ ඕනම විදියට අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් නේ දෙකට බෙදෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ කොහොමද? දෙකට බෙදෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ there's always a basis. In that example, decisions were divided into two as programmed and non-programmed based on how frequently we made those decisions. Routinely ගන්න decisions නම් එක program, rarely ගන්න decisions නම් ඒවා non-program. ඒ වගේ accounting කියන එක දෙකට බෙදෙන්නේ එක basis එකක් තුලින්. So what's the basis of dividing accounting into two as financial accounting and management accounting? If you all know, you all can share with me all answers. Answers දුන්නා නම් I would appreciate. මේක පුළුවන් තරම් interactive කරගත්තොත් your minds also would work. ඔයගොල්ලන්ත් හිතන්න full time හිතාගෙන ඉඳී. මොන හරි එකක් හිතාගෙන ඉඳී. You all won't be bored. පුළුවන් තරම් interactive කරගන්න. If you all can share with me why what do you all think is the basis of dividing accounting into two as financial accounting and management accounting? All right. One person is saying access to information. නම් වලින් ආව නම් හොඳයි. CPM එක නම් එපා. Access to information කියලා කියනවා. Okay. Let's then move on. දැන් අපි ඔගොල්ලෝ දැකලා ඇති ඉස්සරහට අපි slide එකක් දකිවි. There is this slide. Differences between financial accounting and management accounting කියලා. අපි මේ මෙන්න මේ slide එකේ තියෙන difference between financial accounting and management accounting. මේ slide එකේ තියෙන හැම aspect එකම we can say is the basis for differentiating financial accounting from management accounting. මේ හැම එකම කියන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙත් the most important or the most significant basis for classifying financial accounting into two as financial accounting and management accounting is this user group. All right. The users of accounting information. මේ මෙතනින් එන වචනේ. Users ලානේ decision make කරන්නේ. මේ users ලා මත we can divide accounting into two as financial accounting and management accounting. So now in order to understand why there is something called financial accounting and why there is something called management accounting and what's the difference between those two, first of all මේ users කියන්නේ කවුද කියලා අපි තේරුම් ගන්න ඕනේ. Who are the users? දැන් users කියන කට්ටියත් දෙකට බෙදෙනවා. internal and external කියලා. internal and external users කියලා. first of all මම මේ මහන්නම්. මම examples කීපයක් කියන්නම් ඔයගලන්ට. ඒ examples වල මේ ඉන්න කට්ටිය internal user කෙනෙක්ද නැත්නම් external user කෙනෙක්ද කියලා මට කියන්න ඔයගොල්ලෝ. manager කෙනෙක් is he an internal user of accounting information or external user of accounting information? Internal, okay. Any more answers? MC එකෙන් ආවා දැන් CPF එකෙන් එනවා. Use your names, okay? Any more answers? Manager කෙනෙක්. ඕක දන්නවනේ ඔක්කොමලා manager internal external කියලා. Manager කියන්නේ හරි internal. Okay. How about let's say owners? ඕන කෙනෙක් internal user කෙනෙක්ද external user කෙනෙක්. මෙතන මේ පොඩි learning outcome එකක් තියෙනවා. ඔයගොල්ලන් තේරුම් ගන්න දෙයක් තියෙනවා. ඒකයි මම මේක මේ පොඩ්ඩක් stress කරන්නේ. ඕන කෙනෙක් internal user කෙනෙක්ද external user කෙනෙක්ද? Come on, උත්තරයක් දෙමු. Internal. Okay, okay. Okay, thank you very much. ඕන internal කියලා කියනවා. දැන් ඒක වැරදි. මම කියන එක වැරදි කියලා. මම ඕක explain කරනවා. දැන් accounting දෙකට බෙදුන එකට basis එක users of information. Similarly, there is a basis for dividing users as internal and external. Okay? There is a basis for dividing users as internal and external. Now, ඕගොල්ලන් බොහෝ දෙනෙක්ගේ maybe some of you all already know this, is clear on this area, but බොහෝ දෙනෙක් internal and external කියලා users ම classify කරන්නේ අපි අර මේ business environment වල internal environment and external environment කියලා classify කරපු එක මත ඒ thought එකකින් ඒ understanding එකකින් කරන ඇති. කියන්නේ internal environment එකේ ඉන්න කට්ටිය internal users, external environment එකේ ඉන්න කට්ටිය external users කියලා. Account may users කියන එක when it comes to accounting, it's been divided into two as internal and external, not based on the business environment. මේ basis එක totally වෙනස්. හරිද? Here the basis is for whom you make the decisions. අපි කවුරු වෙනුවෙන්ද මේ accounting information පාවිච්චි කරලා තීරණ ගන්න. Alright. එතකොට internal users කියන්නේ who uses accounting information to make decisions on behalf of the organization. Alright. Users who use accounting information to make decisions on behalf of the organization are internal users. For example, managers. Managers මොකද්ද කරන්නේ? Accounting වලින් produce කරන information පාවිච්චි කරලා they make decisions on behalf of the organizations. Alright. Another example would be board of directors. Directors also in their capacity as directors, they use the accounting information and make decisions on behalf of the organization. Then who are the external users? External users කියන්නේ who uses accounting information and make decisions on behalf of themselves. ඒගොල්ලෝ organization එක වෙනුවෙන් නෙමේ තීරණ ගන්නෙ. ඒගොල්ලෝ accounting වලින් produce කරන information පාවිච්චි කරලා alright, they make decisions on behalf of themselves. ඒගොල්ලන් වෙනුවෙන් තීරණ ගන්නවා. External users වලට example එකක් shareholders. You can say suppliers, customers, all those people who use accounting information and do not make decisions on behalf of themselves, rather they make on behalf of the organization, rather they make decisions on behalf of themselves. You can call external users. Then one more question, where does employees fall in this? Employees කියන එක internal ද external ද? ඉක්මනට උත්තරයක් දැම්ම නම් we can move on. Come on. Employees ලා internal ද external ද? හිතන්න ඕනේ නිකන් උත්තරයක් දාන්න. internal. Okay, thank you. Employees කියන්නේ internal users කියලා කියනවා. ඒත් employees කියන්නේ they do not have any authority to make decisions in an organization. Employees කියන එකේ definition එකම they do not have authority to make decisions on behalf of the organization. Managers are decision makers. Organization, we have learned top level managers make top level decisions, middle level managers make middle level decisions, and low level first line managers make routine decisions, low level decisions. Employees ලාට authority එකක් නැහැ decisions make කරන්න on behalf of the organization. Employees ලා, if they are using account, they follow the decisions made by the managers. So if they are using information, accounting information, they would be using those information for themselves. ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ තීරණ ගන්න තමයි මේ accounting information පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ. මොන වගේ තීරණද? Things like, is the organization profitable? If so, if there is good but it would what do you call continuity of the organization exists, then ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ job එක secured ද නැද්ද කියලා බලන්න පුළුවන්. They would also look at accounting information to see කොච්චරක් organization එක profit එකක් make කරාද. මෙච්චරක් profit maintain කරලා අපිට කොච්චරක් bonus ගෙවලා තියෙනවද? එතකොට තව කොච්චරක් bonus ගෙවන්න පුළුවන්ද? ඒ වගේ decisions make කරන්න තමයි employees ලා accounting information පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ. ඒගොල්ලන්ට බෑ organization එකට affect කරන decisions make කරන්න මේ accounting information පාවිච්චි කරලා. Therefore it's very important. මේක A level එකෙත් අපි කරලා තියෙනවා. Employees කියන්නේ external users of accounting information. All right. And also here I said shareholders, but if you take people like partners of a partnership and sole proprietors දන්නවනේ, sole proprietors, partners, they make decisions on behalf of the organization. එක shareholder කෙනෙක්ටයි partner කෙනෙක්ටයි වෙනස, there is a separation in ownership and management when it comes to incorporated companies. Incorporated companies වල managing කරන්නේ board of directors and managers. මේ shareholders owners ලා විතරයි. ඒ partnerships වලයි sole proprietorship වලයි ownership හා management කියන දෙක අතර වෙනසක් නැහැ. Therefore partners and sole proprietors are internal users of accounting information. I hope that you all understood මේ users කියන්නේ කවුද කියලා. Now accounting කියන එක financial accounting කියලා and management accounting කියලා බෙදෙන්නේ මේ users මත. So the accounting branch which provides information for external users for their decision making. For the decision making of external users, we call it financial accounting. All right. Financial accounting කියන්නේ external users ලාට decision make කරන්න accounting information provide කරන branch එක. හරිද? Management accounting කියන්නේ they provide information for internal users to make economic decisions. හරිද? Organization එක ඇතුලේ ඉන්න managers ලයි board of directors ලටයි decisions make කරන්න අවශ්‍ය කරන economic information provide කරන process එක කියන්නේ අපි management accounting කියලා. All right. Now there is also previously this classification was 3. දෙකක් තෙමේ. ඉස්සර මේක 3ක්. ඉස්සර management accounting කියන එක financial accounting, management accounting and cost accounting කියලා බෙදුවා. දැන් management accounting එක යටතේ තමයි cost accounting කියන branch එක එන්නේ. cost accounting එකේ මේ අපේ syllabus එකේ till the mid examination ඒ කියන්නේ process costing කියන එක ඉවරනකම්ම තියෙන්නේ cost accounting විතරයි. management account එකේ ඉතුරු කැලේ ටික එන්නේ නැහැ. All right. All right. I hope you all understood this part. This is like the basic introduction to the subject. Let's now move on to understand management accounting කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? What is management accounting? As you know, we have now established that management account is a process of providing information for the decision making of internal users. මේකේ definition එකක් තියෙනවා management accounting වල. ඒත් මේ definition එකෙන් මේ මෙතනත් දීලා තියෙනවා management accounting, financial accounting කියලා. ඒ users මත බෙදෙන එක ඒ definition එක මතින් මම හිතන්නේ අපිට ලොකුවට මේ එක තේරුම් ගන්න පුළුවන් කියලා management account කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියලා. Y'all already would have understood based on the explanation I gave over here that management accounting is for internal users and financial accounting is for external users කියලා. But we can very well understand what is management accounting when we look at the functions of management accounting. Let's have a look at the functions of management accounting. We had the slide over here, over here. Okay. All right. Functions of management accounting. Management accounting කියන එක යටතේ වෙන්නේ දේවල් හතරක් කියලා මම කියනවා. All right. 4 things happens under management accounting. The first thing is one of those branches of management accounting which I previously said, cost accounting. අපි දැන් accounting වල standards ඉගෙනගෙන තියෙනවා. අපි මේ accounts හදලා තියෙනවා, financial statements හදලා තියෙනවා. ඒත් anywhere in that did we come across finding the cost of the inventories? අපි inventory double entries කරලා තියෙනවා. එහෙත් එක inventory එකක්, let's say one pen, or let's say this phone, one phone, or anything, have we come across finding the cost of one of such items or units of the cost of something? Something කියලා වචනේ මම මෙතන පාවිච්චි කරනවා when we start the next lesson මේ something එකට කියන හරි technical word එක මම introduce කරන්න. Have you ever come across finding the cost of something? ඔයා දන්නවනේ when it comes to an organization, finding the cost of something is very important. හරිද? අපිට එක පෑනක් හදන්න කොච්චරක් වැය වුණා කියලා දන්නේ නැතුව ඒක කොච්චරක් price කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා දන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක determine කරන්න බෑ. හරිද? Also, we can't value inventories without knowing the value of one inventory. Inventory lot එකේ value එක දැනගෙන වැඩක් නැහැ. අපිට එකක value එක දන්නේ නැත්තම්, එකක cost එක දන්නේ නැත්තම්. එතකොට issuance of inventory කරන්න බෑ. දැන් කියමු 100ක් තියෙනවා inventory. span කියමුකෝ 100ක් තියෙනවා රුපියල් 10යි. 200ක් තියෙනවා රුපියල් 15ට. මේක තමයි cost එක. හරිද? This is the cost of inventories. Without knowing this, all right, if we say the total cost this of this 300 inventories is, let's say 100,000, all right, මේ තියෙන 300 inventory එකේ cost එක 100,000. මුළු පිරිවැය අපි දාලා තියෙනවා මෙතන. අපි දන්නේ එකක් කොච්චරද කියලා අපි මේව හොයාගෙන නැහැ. එතකොට අපි දැන් 10ක් issue කරද්දී අපි කොහොමද ඒක value කරන්නේ? You can't value it properly. All right. Therefore, it's very important for financial reporting purposes as well as pricing decisions as well as profitability comparisons to do those things to find the cost of inventories. So the first function of management accounting is finding the cost of inventories. All right. Find the cost of inventories and allocating it among cost of goods sold and closing inventories. That's the first function of management accounting. Management accounting එක වෙන්නේ inventory item එකක cost එක කීයද? ඒක එතකොට cost of sales determine කරන්නේ කොහොමද? Closing inventory balance එක determine කරන්නේ කොහොමද? ඒකට එහා NRV එකට write down කරන එක විතරයි financial accounting එකේ වෙන්නේ. All right. The second function of management accounting is decision making. This, I would say, is the most important function of management accounting. In order to make decisions, we need information, and management accounting is the process which provides that information for the internal users to make decisions. We will be learning things like short-term decision making and long-term decision making under this part of decision making යටතේ අපි learn කරනවා short term නැත්තම් අපිට short term කියන්නේ fixed assets එක මේ vary කරන්න බැරි කාලවකවානුව ඇතුළත අපි make කරන decisions and long term decision making කියන්නේ with regards to fixed assets when the organization is expanding, capacity is changing. එතකොට අපි decision make කරන්නේ කොහොමද කියන එක information පාවිච්චි කරලා information produce කරලා decisions make කරන්නේ කොහොමද කියන එක we will be learning on the management accounting. All right, that's the second function of management accounting, decision making. Third one I would say is planning. Management accounting helps with planning. How does it help with planning? Plans හදන් organizations වල planning is important කියලා I don't have to explain. Planning is very important to any organization. When we make a plan, all right, when we establish the vision, mission, corporate goals and objectives are that middle level tactical goals and objectives ඔක්කොම ටික මේ low level මේ goals objectives ඔක්කොම ටික determine කරාට පස්සේ it's very important to translate those plans into financial figures. Financially plan එකක් හදන එක අවශ්‍යයි. ඒකට තමයි budget හදනවා කියන්නේ. All right. Organization එක plan එක සල්ලි වලින් අපි හදන එක තමයි budgeting කියලා කියන්නේ. ඒ budget හදන එක අපිට මේ budget හදන එක අපිට වැටෙන්නේ under management accounting. Financial budgets, preparation of financial budgets. We will be learning in our syllabus in even in this exam, I think. It's done under management accounting. The next part is controlling. After preparing plans, it's very important to control, to see whether if our plans have been implemented properly, and if so, if they have not been implemented properly, how much have we deviated from our plans, and why? What is the reason for deviating from those plans, and what can we do about it? A plans achieve වෙච්ච නැති එක ගැන අපිට මොකද්ද කරන්න පුළුවන්? ඒ වගේ තීරණ ගැනීමට we also need financial information. Financially, how have we deviated? By how much? How much our costs are more than what we have planned to achieve? How much of revenue is lesser than what we have planned to achieve? And what is the reason for that? What can we do about that? All those things we will be learning on the management accounting. All right, that's the role of a management accountant. So these we could say are the functions of management accounting. මම මෙතන දාලා තියෙන එක it's better if you all can memorize, because this is the scope. Even if you're studying CA or anywhere, this is the entire scope of management accounting. මුළු syllabus එකේම තියෙන්නේ මේක තමයි. first එකන පටන් ගනි cost accounting වලින්, ඊට පස්සේ decision making පැත්තට යයි, අන්තිමට planning and controlling, budgeting and standard costing and variance analysis කියන එක අපි ඉගෙන ගන්නවා. එච්චරයි තියෙන්නේ management accounting වල. ඒකට එහා තියෙන ඒවා මේ මොකද්ද, mostly there is the new trends, life cycle costing ඒ වගේ ඒවා තියෙනවා, but it's not in our syllabus. In our syllabus we will be learning this only. This is also the functions of management accounting. If you look at here, we have allocate cost between product sold and unsold closing inventories. ඒක තමයි cost accounting කියන function එක. Then provide information for decision making, better decision making. ඒක management accounting information පාවිච්චි කරලා make කරන decisions ටිකක් list කරලා තියෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ they have said that provide information for planning, control, performance measurement. Performance measurement is also a part of, I would say, controlling. All right. Now, මෙතන අන්තිමට තියෙන point එකට පොඩ්ඩක් අන්තිමට තියෙන මේ sentence එකට පොඩ්ඩක් attention එක මේව කරන්න. You should allocate your attention towards that. It says that note that cost should be assembled in different ways to meet the above three requirements. All right. Cost needs to be classified in different ways in order to meet each and every of these requirements. Either to allocate costs, information for decision making, planning, controlling. මේ හැම function එකක් කරන්නම හරිද? මේ හැම function එකටම cost classification එකක් වෙනම තියෙන්න ඕනේ. That's the second lesson. All right. For each of these functions, we will be classifying costs. how do we classify cost for inventory valuation? We will be learning that. Then we will be learning how do you classify cost for decision making. Then we will be learning how do you classify cost for controlling. Alright. ඒ වගේ මේ එක functions in order to perform all these functions, we will be classifying costs in different bases. Alright, that's the second lesson of our chapter. Now we have looked at the functions of management accounting. I think for the first lesson මේක තමයි අපි කරන්න යන අන්තිම area එක. මේකට එහා තියෙන එක මම පොඩ්ඩක් කියන්න මොකද්ද තියෙන්නේ කියලා. ඒකට පස්සේ ඔයගලන්ට ඒක තනියම කරගන්න පුළුවන්. That's not a problem at all. අනිත් එකේ knowledge එක ඉදිරියට යන්න අපිට අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ නැහැ. All right, differences between management accounting and financial accounting. The focus user group. ඒක අපි already දන්නවා. Here financial accounting is external users. Management accounting is internal users. Some say that financial accounting it's both external and internal. හරිද? Both external and internal කියලා කියනවා. ඒත් මේ external users දෙන financial reports කියන්නේ මේ if you take a publicly listed company you could say it's the share CSE එකේ release කරන මේ annual report එකේ තියෙන එක කියලා. ඒත් management accountants managers ලටයි board of directors ලටයි ඒව release වෙනකම්ම ඉන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. They could obtain on demand, give me the monthly P&L, give me the quarterly P&L, give me the annual P&L ඉල්ලුවම ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ decisions make කරන්න එතකොට managers ලා එතන වැඩ කරන කට්ටිය they would immediately supply. And they do not need financial accounting information to make the additions. Therefore, it's better if we say just external for financial accounting and just internal. Anyway, it's just internal for management accounting. But maybe in an exam එකේ සමහර විට මට හරියටම කියන්න බෑ. If it comes as financial accounting external and internal, එතකොට you can select that answer. Then the nature of information. What's the nature of information when it comes to financial accounting and management accounting? Nature of information කියන එක යටතේ කියන aspect එක යටතේ we can take two what do you call areas, two things. First thing would be, hold on. First thing would be financial accounting produces historical information or past information. අතීතය ගැන තියෙන financial information තමයි financial accounting වල produce කරන්නේ. All right. But management accounting produces both historical and future information. Forecast කරනවා. අපි දැන් budgeting බැලුවා. අපි budgeting ගැන පොඩ්ඩක් කතා කරා. Budgeting මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? Future information, future financial information produce කරන එක. All right. Likewise, we can say under financial accounting it's historical and historical information only. Under management accounting, both historical and future information is being produced. All right. And then under financial accounting, we can say that they produce only another thing. This is another type. When nature of information can කතා කරද්දී we can say it's historical and both historical and future කියලා කියන්න පුළුවන්. නැත්නම් අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන්. Financial accounting වල එන්නේ financial information විතරයි. The scope of financial accounting is only producing the financial reports. P&L එක හදන එකයි SOFP හදන එකයි notes හදන එක විතරයි financial accounting වල වෙන්නේ. They produce only financial information. But management accounting produces both financial and non-financial information. All right. They produce financial as well as non-financial information. Non-financial information like technical analysis, legal analysis, environmental analysis, even that we have learned in our A-levels. All right. ඕනම investment එකක් appraise කරන්න ඉස්සර අපි in addition to the financial analysis, we have to do other types of analysis as well. So that information is provided by management accounting. And then the reporting entity. Financial accounting wala reporting entity is the entity as a whole. All right. Entity as a whole. if we look at what the financial statements in you all have come across financial statements in the CS website or the annual reports, you see that you get the profit of the entire business. Let's say John Keel's Holdings, entire John Keel Holdings, how much profit they made, entire business's sales. That therefore, financial accounting, the reporting entity is entity as a whole, or the whole business. Management accounting wala, they do not provide just the information of the entity as a whole. In addition, they provide, product wise. Take a product, take a profit take here. If you take something like Unilever, let's say Sunlight taking profit take here. Head and Shoulders running profit take here. And other kinds of things which they produce. Sunsilk running and a profit take here. Likewise, product wise, profit information and product wise information and sector wise information or department wise information. මේ හැම එකක්ම management accounting වල produce කරනවා. Alright, so the reporting entry when it comes financial accounting is entity as a whole. Management accounting can be a product, sector, department, anything. Alright, and then the frequency of reports. Frequency of report කියන එක financial accounting වල වෙන්නේ annually නෙමෙයි, it's periodically. It's periodically. ඇයි අපි annually නෙමෙයි periodically කියන්නේ? There is a fixed period of time between which financial accounting reports are released. There's always a fixed period. It would mostly be quarterly financial statements release karna, and then annually as well. Semi-quarterly, semi-annually also they release financial information. Therefore, we call it periodically. But when it comes to management accounting, there is no periodical reporting of information. It is on demand. I would say the best way is to say is that on demand. Whenever managers wants, or you can call it ad hoc. ඕනම වෙලාවක අවශ්‍ය වුණා නම් reports අපි management accounting වල produce කරනවා. All right. Then the next aspect would be the format of reports. When we take format of reports, financial accounting, there is a standard format. All right. Financial accounting, there is a standard format of reports. අපි financial accounting reports හදන්න ඕනේ. අපි හැමදාම හදනවා වගේ ඒ format එකේ sales minus cost of sales අපි දන්නවා මේ P&L, how does it look, how does the P&L and SOF look, how does the note look. We have to get familiarized with those things and prepare the reports in that exact same format. But management accounting, there is no exact format. මෙහෙම තමයි management accounting reports හදන්න ඕනේ. මෙහෙම තමයි cost information තියෙන්න ඕනේ. මෙහෙම තමයි budget එක හැදෙන්න ඕනේ කියලා කොහෙවත් නැහැ. There is no format. So therefore we could call it customized. Management accounting reports are customized. All right. Then the next one is legal requirement. Financial accounting අපි දන්නවා. This area I would like to talk a bit about this ටිකක් extra කතා කරන්නම්. මේකේ තව area එකක් තියෙන එකට connect කරන්න පුළුවන්. Financial accounting අපි දන්නවා අපි හදන්නේ because it's mandatory. All right, it's mandatory. As per the Companies Act number 7 of 2007, they say as per the relevant statutes, you have to prepare financial statements. ඒක අනිවාර්යෙන් හදන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම කියන relevant statute එක තමයි ශ්‍රී ලංකා accounting and auditing standard එක. ඒ standard එකේ කියනවා CA ශ්‍රී ලංකා එකේ release කරන standards අනුව තමයි අපි හදන්න ඕනේ කියලා මේ financial reports. CA ශ්‍රී ලංකා එක මොකද්ද කරන්නේ? There are two bodies, international bodies, which prepare these standards. හරිද? CA ශ්‍රී ලංකා එක ඒක copy paste කරලා ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ standards adopt කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒක තමයි ඒගොල්ලෝ follow කරන්නේ. There are two, one is based on America FASB කියලා. And then there's the other UK based body which is IASB. අපි IASB එක standards තමයි follow කරන්නේ. Exact same standards. So that's the legal requirement as per the Companies Act number 7 of 2007. We can also cover the applicable accounting standards, LKS, SLFRS. Here there are no standards. No standards. Then management accounting කියන එක it's not legally required to do. Legal requirement එකක් නැහැ. But this is legally mandatory. Mandatory. But there is this tendency of management accounting reports to move towards being legalized. ඒකේ පොඩි characteristics ටිකක් අපි දකිනවා. ඒක අපිට මේ කියන්න කතා කරන්න පුළුවන් මෙන්න මේ area එකේ. International convergence of management accounting practices කියලා. ඒකෙන් කියන්නේ දැන් management accounting due to reasons such as globalization. හැම එකක්ම මුළු ලෝකෙම it's turning into one global village. And things like development of new professional bodies. හැම රටේම professional bodies හැදෙනවා. ඒ professional bodies ඇවිල්ලා mostly affiliate වෙන්නේ professional bodies in places like US, Canada වල තියෙන professional bodies වල තියෙන එකමයි මෙතන උගන්වන්නේ. If you take curriculum in let's say CS Sri Lanka or CMA, it's mostly adopted from a US based institute or a UK based institute, Canadian institute. If you take CMA, I think it's based on fully based on a Canadian institute. ඒ රටවල් වල මේ තියෙන management accounting best practices තමයි ලෝකේ තියෙන හැම රටවල් දියුණු රටවල් වල තියෙන best practices තමයි ලෝකේ තියෙන අනිත් රටවල් adopt කරන්නේ. ඒක තමයි මේ කියන්නේ international convergence of management accounting practices කියලා. ඒ හින්දා now management accounting is moving towards becoming uniform, standardized වෙනවා. More and more it's becoming more and more standardized. If you look now more and more many organizations are following the same practices. එකම විදියට තමයි දැන් ගොඩක්ම management accounting කරන්නේ. තාමෙන්තර it's not perfect the same. There is no like two bodies ISB FASB වගේ standards මොකුත් නැහැ. But it's increasingly becoming uniform or standardized. All right. So maybe in the future it would become a legal requirement and standards would also become applicable. All right. For now, there is no legal requirement. All right. Now, rest of the lesson එකේ තියෙන්නේ මෙන්න මේ area එක වෙනම area එකක්. ඕක අපි we have come across this in many times. A level එකේ කරා අපි BUS එකේ කරා principles of management වල ඕගලන්ට ඕක තනියම කරගන්න පුළුවන්. It's not a problem. It's very practical way of thinking මේක තියෙන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලන්ට ලේසියෙන් තේරුම් ගන්න පුළුවන්. Here the rest of the lesson එකේ තියෙන්නේ මෙන්න මේ slide එක elaborate කරන එක තමයි. Factors affecting management accounting. දැන් ලෝකෙ change වෙන එකත් එක්ක with increasing global competition, product life cycles ටික අඩු වෙනවා. IT එකේ technological improvement එක ගොඩක් වැඩි වෙනවා. Environment එකට ගොඩක් concerns. There are many concerns, more and more rules regarding the environment, environmental protection, and ethics are becoming more and more important. Deregulation, privatization, focus on value creation, customer orientation. Now the entire focus of almost all businesses are turning into the customer. All right. ඒ හින්දා මෙන්න මේ කරුණු හින්දා there are certain new management accounting practices. All right. අලුත් management accounting practices තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ අලුත් විදියට ගණන් හදන ඒවා. Life cycle costing, throughput accounting කියන්නේ JIT එකත් එක්ක එන එකක්, environmental accounting, ඒ වගේ sustainability reporting, ඒ වගේ අලුත් areas ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. ඒ තියෙන areas ටික there are separate dedicated lessons, chapters we will be learning if you all are doing management accounting as a future subject. අපේ මේ syllabus එකේ නැහැ. ඒ හින්දා එහෙම එකක් තියෙන හින්දා ඒගොල්ලෝ මේ slide එක දාලා අපේ lecturers-ලා ඒ එක areas ටික explain කරලා තියෙනවා මේ theoretically විතරක්. Life cycle costing කියන්නේ life cycle එක ගැන explain කරලා තියෙනවා. Life cycle costing එක ගැන explain කරලා නැහැ. ඒ වගේ theoretically මේ changes ටික මේ explain කරලා තියෙනවා. I'm not going to go on into this because it would be a little bit waste of time. Y'all could study this on your own. All right. Then I hope you all have understood the first lesson from till the part which we have learned. ඔයගලන්ට ඔක්කොම තේරුණා කියලා මම හිතනවා. මොනවා හරි ප්‍රශ්න තිබ්බොත් ඔයගලන්ට දැන් අහන්න පුළුවන්. After that we can start the second lesson. We won't be doing the entire second lesson. එක area එකක් කරනවා එකේ. If you all have any questions, you all can raise them. Questions නැද්ද? Then we can move to the next chapter. I'll give you all 2-3 more minutes. 25 එකට අපි second lesson එක පටන් ගමු. Second lesson එකේ ඉඳන් තියෙන්නේ I will talk about it after in another 3 minutes. All right. 3 minutes වගේ දෙන්න වතුර බීලා මේ second lesson එක ready වෙන්න පොතයි පෑනක් විතරයි. හරි එහෙනම් second lesson එක අපි පටන් ගමු. Second lesson එකේ first of all let me talk about what do we have in this lesson. Second lesson එකේ මොකද්ද තියෙන්නේ කියලා. හරිද? දැන් you can see the screen no? Screen එක පේනවා කියලා මම හිතනවා. All right. අපි දැන් management accounting වල functions ටිකක් බැලුවනේ. ඒ functions එකේ slide එකේ අන්තිමටම තිබ්බා. In order to achieve these functions, we have to classify costs in separate basis. All right. ඒ හින්දා මේ second lesson එකේ තියෙන්නේ ඒ වගේ කරපු classifications තමයි. In order to achieve each and every of those functions of management accounting, we are going to classify costs in a suitable way to achieve those functions. And we will be learning those cost classifications in this lesson. So the name of the lesson is cost concepts, elements, and cost classifications. All right. So first of all, the main focus of cost accounting is to find the cost of something. But then I told there is a technical term I would introduce to the word something when we start the second lesson. This something එකට පාවිච්චි කරන technical word එක තමයි cost object කියලා. All right. So let's start off with cost object. දැන් කට්ටිය අපි ඉන්නේ we are in a journey of finding the cost of a cost object. අපි ඉදිරියට till the mid exam and till process costing කියන lesson එක තමයි මම හිතන්නේ අපි it would be the most difficult lesson. ඒ lesson එක ඉවර වෙනකන්ම we would be on a journey of finding the cost of a cost object. All right. So what is a cost object? Cost object is anything to which a cost can be ascertained. Cost object එකක් කියන්නේ anything to which a cost could be ascertained. ඒ කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? If you can say that, all right, this is the cost of this thing. Now let's take a pen. Let me take a pen. All right. If we can say that, all right, may pen the cost of this pen is 100 rupees. Then that would make this a cost object. All right. Because we are ascertaining 100 rupees to this pen. Therefore, cost object is anything to which a cost can be ascertained. One pen costs 100 rupees. One eraser costs 50 rupees. Cost to produce, all right. One, let's say table costs 50,000. We are ascertaining costs. Therefore, this anything, one of those examples of something to which cost can be ascertained is products. Products and services. All right. Cost object is anything to which cost can be ascertained. Ascertained can English. One of those things is products and services like pens, pencils, consultancy hours of a doctor, professional hours of a professional, products and services. All right. Because we can ascertain cost to products and services. Then we have customers. We can say that this customer costs us this much. All right. We can say that අපි මේ customer මේ අපි හදලා තියෙන product එක විකුණන්න cost වුණා අපිට මෙච්චරක්. All right. And then we can find out, we can compare customers. Customer A, B, C කියලා තුන් දෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා නම් we can find how much does it cost to satisfy this customer. Product sold, discounts ටික adjust කරලා අපි මොන හරි යාට මේ tag එකක් මොන හරි දෙනවා නම් birthday cakes දෙනවා නම් නැත්නම් hotels වලට නිව්ය වලට invite කරලා ඒ වගේ මොන හරි එයාත් එක්ක relationship maintain කරන්න නැත්නම් customer services දෙන්න ඒ particular customers ලට if we are having large scale customers. එක business එක customer කියන්නේ business එකේ මේ revenue එක නැත්නම් profit generating එකේ major portion එකකට contribute වෙනවා නම් ඒ customer එක they would maintain personal relationships. They would keep track of all information of those customers. Therefore, we could ascertain cost to customers and compare the cost of customers and calculate the profits of different customers and find who is the most profitable customer. If we find who is the most profitable customer, we can treat them better, prioritize them. අපි මොන හරි විකුණනවා නම් අපිට හිඟයක් තියනවා නම් බාන්නේ අපිට ඒගොල්ලන්ට මුලින් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ වගේ decisions we can make. All right. So customers also, we could ascertain costs. Therefore, customers are also cost objects. Then we have processes. Processes අපි cost ascertain කරන එක අපි ඉදිරියට බලනවා process costing වල how we ascertain cost for processes. Then we have activities, distribution channels, anything. Anything, we can say this is the cost of that, then it's a cost object. All right. A part I missed before this is, first of all, we need to see what this cost කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියලා. හරිද? cost කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියලා ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැන් දන්න ඇති most probably ඔක්කොමලාටම. Let's just touch on that as well. cost කියන්නේ it is the value of resources sacrificed in order to obtain a benefit. මං මේ පෑන ගන්න මගේ කාර් එක දුන්නා නම් මේ පෑනේ අයිතිකාරයාට, the cost of this pen for me is the benefit, is the resource which I sacrifice in order to obtain the pen. Therefore, the value of the car would be the cost of this pen. All right. Now, actually, what was the resources sacrificed by the entity which produced this pen? This is a mango pen. මේ mango pen එක හදන්න ඒ entity එකට sacrifice කරන resources මොකක්ද? Plastic, ink, labor, අනිත් එක මේ මොන හරි electricity, ඒ වගේ resources ඒගොල්ලෝ sacrifice කරා මේ pen හදන්න. හරිද? එතකොට the value of those resources sacrificed in order to make this pen, we call it cost. All right. Cost එකයි expense එකකයි වෙනසක් තියෙනවා. All right. A cost is different from an expense. How is it different? Now I said that cost is the value of මේවට ලියා ගන්න notes නැත්තම් notes තියන අය no need to write. You could update your notes. Value of resources sacrificed to obtain some benefit. All right. Now, this benefit, which is stated here, may benefit එක, if we have already consumed those benefit, we call it expense. අපි මේ cost එකක් incur කරලා කරන්නේ මොකකටද? In order to obtain certain benefits. If we consume those benefits, we call it expense. And how do we treat expenses? We write it off in the P&L. If we do not consume those benefits, if we do not consume the benefits which we sacrificed our resources for, that means we incurred a cost for, then it would still remain as a cost. It would be an asset. All right. Benefits consumed, nang eka expense. Benefits not consumed, nang it's an asset. All right. So this is what cost is all about. Make a broad broad concept cost කියන්නේ. It's not just money. It could be, if you let's say man මේක නිකන් කියන්නේ, if you in order to produce something, in order to do something out of the cost, one of the costs could be how you were emotionally depressed. ඔයා එකක් කරන්න ගියා, cost එකක් incur කරා. A cost එකට you can even include how much emotionally you were affected. ඒකත් ඔයා sacrifice කරන එකක් නේ. ඔයාගේ වැදගත් resource එකක් you are sacrificing in order to produce something. So even that you could call the cost. The scope of cost is very broad. But in the management accounting subject, we would be only considering the value of monetary resources sacrificed. All right. Money වලින් measure කරන්න පුළුවන් resources sacrifice කරපු එක විතරයි අපි cost කියලා ගන්න. Now, like I said, our focus in our syllabus until the mid-exam, until we finish process costing, would be to find the cost of the cost object. The cost object cost එක හොයාගන්න එකයි. Therefore, another term, let me introduce you all to another term, මේ process එක. මේ cost object එකේ cost එක හොයාගන්න process එකේ we would come across another term called cost center. All right. Cost center කියලා අපි term එකක් we would meet with a term called cost center. Now, a cost center කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියලා පොඩ්ඩක් introduce කරන්න. If we know the terms, කියන්නේ මේ වචන අපි මේ ඉදිරියට පාවිච්චි කරන්න යන වචන දැම්ම දැනගත්තා කියන්නේ, it would be very easy for us. All right. So what's a cost center? It's a place where costs are accumulated. A place where costs are accumulated. Let's say an organization has cost 1, cost 2, cost 3, cost 4. මේ වගේ එක organization එකක එක අවුරුද්දක් තුල cost ඕන තරම්. There would be many costs. Electricity, water, salaries, materials, distributions, marketing expenses, ඒ වගේ ගොඩාක් cost තියෙන. ඒ cost ටික අපි වෙන වෙන locations වල අපි මේ accumulate කරනවා. C1 එකයි, let's say there are 2 places. C2 එකයි මේ production department A වල. production department B වල C3 එකයි C4 එකයි. අපි මේක දැකලා තියෙනවා මේකට ඉස්සරහ. හරිද? අපි මේ කොයි දැකලා තියෙන්නේ මේ when we prepare the overhead analysis sheet. We have prepared overhead analysis sheet in our A levels as well as in our tutorial lectures. අපි lectures වලයි tutorials වලයි අපි overhead analysis sheet prepare කරලා තියෙනවා. All right? So what we do is in a cost center we accumulate costs. අපි ඒ අවුරුද්දේ ඉන්ක් කරන හැම cost එකම මේ වගේ cost centers වල අපි accumulate කරනවා. හරිද? දෙකක් තිබ්බොත් එකක් organization එකේ. ඇයි එහෙම කරන්නේ? We after that redistribute that. All right? After that we accumulate this, let's say 1,000 rupees accumulated here and 4,000 here. We redistribute this. ඒක වෙන හැටි දැන් මොගලන්ට කියන එකට වඩා when we are doing overheads අපි treat කරන හැටි. දැන් third lesson එක කරද්දී කිව්වා නම් හොඳයි. You would understand it that better. All right. Now let's move on to cost classifications. මේක අපි කරමුද? මේ අපි මේක activity 2.1 එකේ පළවෙනි එක විතරක් කරමු. The question is identify 3 possible examples for cost objects of a garment factory. Garment factory එක cost ascertain කරන්නේ මොකකටද? ඒක තමයි question එක. Garment factory එකේ ඉන්ක කරන cost මෙන්න garment factory එකේ cost ටිකක් තියෙනවානේ. ඒ cost එකේ මේ cost එක තියෙන අයිති මේකට. මේකට. ඔව්. එහෙම කරන්නේ මොන වගේ ඒවටද? ඒක තමයි the question over here. The answers would be, you could say garments. Garments, you could say t-shirts, shirts, trousers. Likewise, we ascertain costs to various garments. The garments are the products of the garment factory. In a broad scope, you could say the garments products, or you could individually state t-shirts, shirts, and trousers as examples for products. And then you could say customers. How do you ascertain cost to customers? Customers like, let's say now Mass Holdings is having Levi's as their customer, international customer. They would be incurring certain costs, particularly for Levi's. ඒගොල්ලන්ට Levi's ලට specially then discounts තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. Levi's ලට මේ relationship maintain කරන්න Levi's ලට ඒගොල්ලන්ට මොන හරි tag දෙනවා ඇති. නැත්නම් ඒගොල්ලන් Levi's ලට මේ let's say they are having certain customer services දෙන්න ඒගොල්ලෝ මොන හරි මේ travel කරනවා abroad ඒගොල්ලන්ට presentations කරන්න ඒ වගේ illustrations කරන්න abroad යනවා. ඒ වගේ expenses particularly they are incurring for Levi's. Let's say Mass Holdings, a garment factory. එතකොට they could allocate the particular cost which they are incurring for that customer and find the total cost of their customer, compare it with different customers and determine who is the best customer. Likewise, customers of garment factories also cost object. Cost object කියන්නේ ලේසිම වචනයක්. It's a very simple thing. I hope that all of you all could understand what cost objects are. Now it brings us to the rest of the lesson, I would say. Classification of costs. Like I said, in management accounting, there are functions. in order to achieve those functions, we classify costs using different bases. Like I said, when we are classifying something into different classifications, when you're classifying something into 2 or 3, there's always a basis. Likewise, when you're classifying costs, also there is a basis. මේ දැන් මං අඳින්න යන මේ chart එකක් වගේ ඒක it's best if you all could get thorough with it perfectly. ඒක පුළුවන් තරම් familiar කරගන්න because that's the rest of the lesson and that's kind of the I would say the basic knowledge you require in order to understand the rest of the chapters. Management accounting කියන එක තේරුම් ගන්න තියෙන අර fundamental knowledge එක තමයි මේ cost classification එක. මේක තමයි ඒ හින්දා තමයි අපි මේක මුලින්ම කරන්නේ. අපි management accounting functions ටික achieve කරන්න classify කරන cost එක තේරුම් ගත්තේ නැත්නම් ඒ functions ටික කරන්න තේරුම් ගන්න අමාරුයි. Therefore, it's very important to understand these cost classifications to kind of memorize this chart which I'm about to draw. So the first function, like I said, was to finding the cost of a cost object. Cost accounting කියන function එක. ඒකේ basis එක. The basis of classifying costs when it comes to find the cost we could call it inventory valuation. In order to value inventories, all right, how do we classify costs? We can call it that way. In order to value inventories, how do we classify costs? මේක යටතේ base මේ cost classifications දෙකක් capture වෙනවා. එකක් direct cost and indirect cost classification එක. හරිද? පළවෙනි එක the direct cost and indirect cost classification එක. There is another classification which we require in order to value inventories, which is the product cost and period cost classification. Inventory value කරන එක කියන එක process එකක්. ඒක system එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ system එක වැඩ කරන්නේ මේ direct and indirect cost classification එකයි product and period cost කියන classification එක මත. The next one would be cost classification for, I would say, short-term decision making. Or you could call it based on cost behavior. Based on cost behavior or in order to make short-term decisions, we classify cost as fixed. Give me a second. මට තප්පර කීපයක් දෙන්න. All right. So for short-term decision making, we classify costs as fixed costs, variable costs, third one is semi-variable cost. There's no such thing as semi-fixed cost. Semi-fixed cost does not make sense. ඒ වචන Englishing it doesn't make sense in English. Semi-fixed කියලා කියන්න බෑ. Semi-variable කියලා තමයි කියන්න ඕනේ. Partially it's varying. It's not partially being fixed. It's partially varying in the semi-variable cost කියන එක තමයි හරි වචනය. And then step fixed cost. The step cost කියලා කියන්න පුළුවන්. All right. Now, the next one is මේ short term decision making කියන එකෙන් තියෙන්නේ නිකන් calculations වගේ. ගණන් හදන්න ලේසි මේ වගේ cost classification කරා නම්. හරිද? ඒ decision making වල decision making එක වල classification එක ඇවිල්ලා give me second. Right, I'm sorry. Decision making වල කරන classification එක ඇවිල්ලා relevant and irrelevant cost කියලා. හරිද? What are the costs which are relevant for a decision and what are the costs which is irrelevant for decision? මෙතන තියෙන්නේ almost 90% economic වල කරපු economic cost and economic cost එක තමයි. Economics වල අපි කරන්නේ economic the cost of product is the total opportunity cost කියලා the economic cost කියලා 90% තියෙන්නේ ඒක තමයි. There's a small difference between what we learn in economics and what we learn here. පොඩි difference එකක් තමයි තියෙන්නේ. The next one is cost classification for controlling. Controlling කියන function එක වෙනුවෙන් අපි cost classify කරනවා controllable and non-controllable කියලා. Alright. So now we have 4 bases. I have covered all. Yeah, we have 4 bases of classifying costs. This is what we are going to learn in the rest of our chapter. මේකෙන් මම අද කරන්න හිතන් ඉන්නවා මේක inventory valuation එකයි decision making එකයි මේ දෙක කරන්න හිතන් ඉන්නවා. This part is very important. It's a bit complex to understand. එහෙනම් ඒකට වෙනම දවසක් allocate කරන එක හොඳයි so that you would be in a fresh mind and you would be able to think clearly. මේක නම් පොඩිම area එකක්. මේකත් එක්කම කරමු. All right. So let's start off with cost classification. Let's go in the order of the. Let's start off with direct and indirect costs or cost classification for inventory valuation. All right. Now, the objective here is to value inventories. අපිට ඕනේ to value inventories. Let's take something. Let's say this is a bar of chocolate. Make a chocolate bar එකක් කියලා හිතමුකෝ. Now, our objective is to find the cost of this chocolate bar. Now, there is a certain technical or practical reasoning in classifying costs as direct and indirect costs. අපි දැන් කරන්නේ direct and indirect costs. මේ chocolate bar එකේ cost එක හොයද්දී there are many cost items which we could relate to this. Either මේ chocolate bar එක හදන්න, all right? We can say all these costs are relevant to this chocolate bar, but all these costs we can't directly trace to this chocolate bar. We can't directly trace all these costs to this chocolate bar. The costs which we can directly trace to this chocolate bar, we would call that direct costs. All right, the costs which could be directly traced in order to produce a cost object, in order to for a cost object or to a cost object, we call it direct costs. So let's say these two are things like milk and cocoa, right? They use, I think that's what we call it. Those two things we can directly trace to the cost object for this cost chocolate bar. But things like electricity, things like water, rent, supervisor salaries, can we say out of our electricity bill, this much of rupees we directly incurred in order to produce this particular specific chocolate bar? We can't. We can't trace it that way. මේක නම් කරන්න පුළුවන්. මේ කරන හැටිත් අපි ඉදිරියට ඉගෙන ගමු. හරියටම මේ documents එකත් එක්ක ඉදිරියට ඉගෙන ගමු. For now we just focus on the cost classification. All right. So direct costs and indirect costs. Direct costs are costs which can be traced specific and in full to a given cost object. අපි chocolate එකක් හදන්න අපි කිරි කියමුකෝ මිලිලීටර් 50ක් ගත්තා නම් අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් මේ මිලිලීටර් 50 ගත්තේ මේ chocolate bag එක හදන්න. හැදුවට පස්සේ. හරිද? We can say after we make, we know how much milk you used to produce the chocolate. අපි ගෙදර හදනවා කියමුකෝ chocolate එකක්. එතකොට we know how much after we make, we know how much milk you used and we know how much we spent for that milk. Therefore, we would say that milk is a direct cost. All right. So direct costs are costs which can be traced specifically and in full to a given cost object. What are the examples for direct costs? Things like material costs. For example, fabrics when it comes to garments, wood when it comes to furniture, plastic when it comes to plastic items, and let's say steel when it comes to electrical items like fans and laptops and all those things. And yeah, so materials, basically materials are direct costs. Then we have, we call them direct materials. All right, direct materials. Since they are direct costs, we call them direct materials. This is the first type of direct costs, direct material costs. Examples I have stated. The second type of direct costs are direct labor costs. When we produce things, we require labor. All right. We need someone to make them. So if we can say that this person specifically worked in order to produce this particular cost object, then we call that direct labor. All right. Things like machine operators or laborers in a garment factory, mahana kattiya, egollo, carpenters when it comes to making furniture. අපි දැන් මේසයක් හදනවා කියමුකෝ. මේ මේසය හදන්න carpentersලා වැඩ කරයි. හරිද? එතකොට අපි කියන්න පුළුවන් මේ carpenter මේ පැය ගණන් වල at the end you know they prepare something called a time sheet. Working experience තියෙනවා නම් let's say in audit firm you all know that you all prepare something called a time sheet. හැමදාම මොකටද අපි වැඩ කරේ කියලා අපි හැමදාම රෙකෝඩ් කරනවා. ඒ time sheet එකෙන් බලලා ඒගොල්ලන්ට කියන්න පුළුවන් on this particular day in order this many hours he spent on producing this particular cost object. Yeah. So direct labor is the other cost. The third one would be direct other costs. Direct other කියන්නේ costs which aren't direct material nor are they direct labor but which could be traced specifically and full to a given cost object. තමයි direct other costs කියන්නේ. A classic example for direct other costs would be the royalty payments. In order to produce certain goods, we have to, when we license them, we have to pay a royalty to the person who provides us the license. Therefore, that payment, when it's paid based on the number of units produced, it's a direct other cost. Either. Now, I would like to podi example like you know one කැමති. You know that when we produce things, we incur costs on packaging. All right. From that packaging cost, only the cost which we incur for the primary package. Primary package කියන්නේ මොකක්ද දන්නවනේ? බාණ්ඩේ උඩින්ම තියෙන package. ඒක විතරයි direct cost. ඒක විතරයි direct cost. අනිත් ඔක්කොම distribution cost. It's not even a production overhead. It's a distribution cost. Non-production overhead එකක්. හරිද? P&L එකේ දාන එකක්. Selling and distribution expenses යටතේ. You know, this big cardboard boxes which we use to transport, those cartons, and if there are any big packaging, those come under distribution cost. Only the primary package is a direct material cost. All right. I think that direct cost classification එක පොඩ් තේරිලා ඇති. මේක ඉදිරියට යන්න යන්න ආය බලනවා through questions, and I'm sure you all would understand. If there are any questions from the area which we learned till now, you can ask. All right, let's move on then. Second one is the indirect cost classification. Indirect cost කියන්නේ, now direct cost, like I said, are the costs which could be traced specifically and in full to this given chocolate. Indirect cost කියන්නේ, you can't trace specifically and full. මේ cost එක අපි incur කරේ, මේ cost එකෙන් මෙච්චර ප්‍රමාණයක් අපි incur කරේ exactly in full in order to produce this chocolate. You can't say things like electricity, water, rent, production supervised salaries, and all those things. We call it indirect costs. Indirect cost is also divided into three, just like direct costs: indirect material, indirect labor, indirect other. හරිද? Indirect material, indirect labor, indirect other කියලා බෙදෙනවා. මෙතන ඉන්නේ things like what? Indirect material එකට පොඩි එක area එකක් තියෙනවා මම කතා කරන්න පුළුවන්. If a certain cost is immaterial, either negligible amount. If we take let's say furniture, the glue we use, it's, you know, it doesn't make sense. There is no benefit in tracing the amount of glue we spent on each furniture. පොඩ්ඩක් මිලිලීටර් කීපයක් පාවිච්චි කරලා ඇති. රුපියල් 5ක් 6ක් විදන් වෙලා ඇති. ඒ රුපියල් 5 6 each furniture units වලට allocate කරන එකෙන් doesn't make sense. Therefore, immaterial costs, even though if they could be traced as direct costs, they could be by incurring a certain effort. If we could trace them to a given cost object, we don't have to do that. As a practice, we do not do that because it's immaterial. And also technological capabilities. Cost එකක් trace කරද්දී පොඩි technological capability එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. That is, we should have what do you call records. අපේ records තියෙන්න ඕනේ. අපි from the first itself we should trace those costs. So there is certain effort. If there is no technological capability to trace certain costs, then that cost would also be an indirect cost. අපිට trace කරන්න බැරි නම් because of technological reasons. If we have better technology, maybe we could trace. අපිට හොඳ technology තිබ්බොත්, better information systems තිබ්බොත්, නැත්නම් you know, tracing අර barcodes ඒ වගේ මොනවා හරි තිබ්බනම්, then we could classify even certain indirect costs as direct costs. So materiality and technological capability also affects a cost being classified as direct and indirect costs. හරිද? ඒකත් එක learning outcome එකක්. Now, indirect cost කියන එක, we also call it, we also could divide this into two like this. Non-production overheads. All right. So this is where make classification එක ඇතුළට එනවා. Product cost and period cost classification. All right. Indirect costs are the costs which cannot be traced specifically and fully to a given cost object. හරිද? The costs which cannot be traced specifically and full to a given cost object if we incur those costs in order to produce goods and services. All right. If we incur certain costs which cannot be traced specifically and full to a given cost object, like this chocolate over here, you in order to produce the chocolate over here, then we would classify those as production overheads. All right. Okay. If we incur those indirect costs not to produce goods and services, rather to support, rather incur them in the period. All right, in the period, then we classify them as non-production overheads. Right? Indirect costs ආය දෙකට බෙදෙනවා. Production overheads and non-production overheads කියලා. Production overheads කියන්නේ in order to produce goods and services incur කරන indirect costs. Non-production overheads කියන්නේ indirect costs which we do not incur to produce goods and services. හරිද? Now, let's move on to this area. Let's bring this over here. Turn this into a text box. So imagine this is the chocolate, all right? Still, this is the chocolate. We are going to look at the composition of the cost of a chocolate. Slide එකක් පෙන්නමු. එතකොටනේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නේ. We are learning what we have here. Total manufacturing cost කියන එක තමයි අපි දැන් බලන්නේ මේ කැල්ල. හරිද? මේ chocolate එක ගත්තම the cost of the chocolate is composed like this. මේක හැදෙන්නේ මෙහෙම තමයි. හරිද? හොඳට බලන්න. This is very important, this area. Direct material, all right, which is this one over here. Let's say it's 100 rupees. Direct labor, let's say it's 200 rupees. Direct other, let's say 50 rupees. The total of this we call it prime cost. Prime cost කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? Total of direct costs. 50 rupees. The chocolate එක cost එක direct cost එක විතරද? No. In addition to this, we add two prime costs. The production overhead costs. Let's say it's the 300 rupees. Then we will get the total product costs. So total product cost would be 650 rupees. මෙහෙම තමා ඕනම inventory එක cost එකක් හැදෙන්නේ. Even when we are doing job costing, process costing, ඒකේ cost එකත් හැදලා තියෙන්නේ මෙහෙම තමයි. හරිද? If you are taking a job, the cost of a job would comprise of only these things. All right? When we are doing process costing, the cost of a process would comprise of only these things. මේ set එක විතරයි තියෙන්නේ. මේක ඇතුලේ හැම එකක්ම තියෙනවා. හරිද? So this is the composition of a cost object. එතකොට මේ තියෙන මේ total එක මේක 650 කියන්නේ එකයිනේ. 650 කියන්නේ එකයිනේ. මේ වගේ අපි හදමු හදනවා කියමුකෝ 1000ක්. එතකොට 65000ක්. So 650,000 would be the total inventory cost, total production cost. ඊට පස්සේ ඒකෙන් portion එකක් විකුණුපු portion එක cost of sales යනවා. විකුණු නැති portion එක closing stock එකට යනවා. All right, this is the rest of the story. දැන් අපි ඊළඟට throughout the lessons we will be learning this only. Cost of sales යන එකයි closing stock යන එකයි හොයාගන්න හැටි when it comes to specific businesses, specific production methods. එතකොට අපි මේක කරන හැටි බලනවා. Now let's do a small exercise. මේක නෙමේ අපි මේක කරමු. I want you all to classify these costs as what? Production cost, selling and distribution cost and administration cost. මේ cost වලින් production cost මොකද්ද? Selling and distribution cost මොකද්ද? Administration cost කියලා පොඩ්ඩක් ඔයගොල්ලෝ හිතේ කරගන්න ලියන්න ඕනේ. නම් ලියා ගන්න ෆොටෝ එකක් ගන්න නම් ෆොටෝ එකක් ගන්න. පොඩ්ඩක් ඔයගලන්ට මේ product and period cost classification එක පොඩ්ඩක් තරව කරගන්න. Let me give you all 2 minutes for that. All right. I hope that you all went through this. Let's just go through this quickly. Cost of oils used to lubricate production machinery. It would be direct cost. A direct cost. It's a product cost then. Motor vehicle license for lorries is a distribution cost. Distribution වලටනේ lorries පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ. එතකොට distribution වලට incur කරන license cost එක distribution cost එකක්. Depreciation of factory plant and equipment is a production overhead cost. It's a product cost then. Commission paid to sales representatives is selling and distribution cost. Salary of secretary or finance director is administration cost. And period cost. Period cost කියන්නේ administration overheads and selling and distribution overheads කියන දෙක තමයි. All right. Trade discounts given to customers, it's not even a cost. Holiday pay of machine operatives. Holiday pay of machine operatives are, I would say, production overhead costs. All right. Salary of security guard in raw material warehouse. It's a production overhead mostly. Yeah, production overhead cost. Fees to advertising agency කියන එක selling and distribution cost. Rent of finished goods warehouse is production. No, it's a selling and distribution cost. Yeah, that's the point I wanted to make through this. අපි එක product එක produce කරපු ගමන් එතනින් එහා incur කරන හැම cost එකක්ම it's a period cost. It's not a production cost. All right. Product එක හදපු ගමන් හරිද pack කරා ඒ packing එක පවා ඒ කියන්නේ cardboard boxes ඒ ලොකු cartons පවා it's a period cost. From there onwards all costs are period costs. All right. Salary of where did we stop? Insurance of a company's premises is if it's the factory, it's a product cost. If it's the administrative office, then it's a period cost. All right. Salary of supervisor working in the factory is a production overhead. Cost of typewriter ribbons in the general office is administrative overhead. Protective clothing for machine operatives is a direct cost. All right. I think it's a direct cost. The product cost. Maybe it could be direct or indirect. All right. It could be a direct cost or production overhead. Protective clothing කියන එක හැම product එක හදන්න එකක් පාවිච්චි කරලා ඊපස්සේ විසික් කරලා අනිත් එක හදාද්දි වෙන එකක් ඕනේ නම් then let's say like gloves used by doctors, they can use it again. No? So that particular patient a direct cost there. If you are again and again using protective clothing for different things, then it will be a production overhead cost. Regardless, it's a production cost. Let's move on now. The next part would be the question. Yeah, this question. Now we have learned මේකට කියන්නේ total product cost කියලා. හරිද? මේක තමයි product cost කියන එක. දැන් මේකට පස්සේ එන හැම cost එකක්ම period cost. Period cost අපි මේ allocate කරනවා admin, overheads and selling and distribution overheads කියලා. හරිද? admin overheads, selling and distribution overheads මේ ඔක්කොම P&L එකට යන්නේ. මේකේ මේ product cost එකෙන් portion එකක් cost of sales යනවා, portion එකක් closing stock යනවා. මේ period cost කියන එකෙන් portion මේ total portion එකම P&L එකට තමයි යන්නේ. හරිද? Now we have this question. මේක මේ අපේ tute මේකේ තියෙන එකට වගේ similar එකක් තමයි මේකට වගේ සිමිලි එකක් තමයි ඒත් වෙනස්ම එකක් මේක already කරලා ඇතිනේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ හින්දා. Therefore you could try this question. I'll give you 5 minutes. Try this question on your own. Stuck වෙන තැන ඉඳන් we can start doing it together. Okay? 5 minutes, all right? අපි මේ හරි අපි පටන් ගමු. මේ වගේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් exam එකට එන්න there's a good chance. Okay, so මේක පුළුවන් වුණා කියන්නේ it's good. දැන් අපි මුලින්ම කරන්නේ very basic question එකක්. මේ basic කියලා කියන්නේ අපි දැන් යන්න මේ business එක මාරම basic business එකක්. එක product එකක් තමයි හදන්නේ, no opening stocks, what ඒ හින්දා therefore and the production process is very simple. එක production process batch එකක් තමයි යන්නේ. ඒ හින්දා this very basic question. Moving on, when we learn job costing, process costing and all, it will get more and more complex. The situation would be get complex, but the method would be the same. Okay. So it says that Gemini Private Limited produces toys, and during the financial period, the company has produced 15,000 units of toys. Following information are relevant for the period. They have given the cost information. And then they are saying that there was no opening stock at the beginning of the period. The company sold only 10,000 toys at a price of 750 per toy during this period. All right. Therefore, 15,000 produce kara, 10,000 විකුණලා තියෙනවා. ඒ 10,000 එක එතකොට cost of sales යයි. 5,000 එක closing stock එකේ තියෙයි. All right. The price of a toy sold was 750 per toy. The first question is calculate the product and period cost for this period. All right. ඒක අපි මුලින් කරමු. අපි දැක්කා දැන් product cost එකේ composition එක. ඒකමයි අපිට follow කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. All right. Product cost. ඒකේ මුලින් එන්නේ මොනවද? Direct material, direct labor, direct other මේකේ තියෙනවා. ඔව්. Direct other. All right. And then we will get the prime cost. So that if we had the production overhead costs, we will end up with the total product costs. හරිද? So the direct material cost would be the fabric cost. 2,800. 2,800,000. කියන එක direct material cost. වෙන මොකුත් නැහැ මං හිතන්නේ direct material cost වෙන නැහැ. මේ fabric cost එක මේ toy එක හදන්න පාවිච්චි කරපු fabric එක තමයි අපිට direct trace කරන්න පුළුවන් මේ toy එකට. All right. Then the direct labor cost would be 950,000 they have given. Either direct labor cost එකක් ඒගොල්ලෝ දීලා තියෙනවා. Then the next one would be the direct cost, other cost would be the royalty fee for the design. Okay, 500,000. මේ toy එක හදන්න design එක කට්ටි අපි මේ externally license කරලා තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට ඒකට ඒගොල්ලන්ට පොඩි ගාණක් ගෙවන්න ඕනේ 500,000. ඒක direct other cost. So total of this would be the prime cost. හරිද? ඒකට add කරන්න ඕනේ production overhead costs. Production overhead cost මොකද්ද? තියෙන්නේ අපිට indirect materials තියෙනවා. Then manufacturing overheads කියලා වෙනම තියෙනවා. That is 1,350,000. $220,000 would be the what? Yeah, production overhead costs. Yes. Now the total product cost would be the total of prime costs plus the production overhead costs. 6,450,000. හරිද? 6,450,000 කියන්නේ මේ product cost එක මම හිතන්නේ I have missed something. Yeah. Hold on. මේ production overhead එකට add වෙන්න ඕනේ මෙතන තියෙනවා electricity and water 600,000, 60% of which is factory related. මේ 600,000 එකෙන් 60% අපි ඉන්ක කරේ factory එක වෙනුවෙන්. Factory එකේ මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? Goods and services are produced. Therefore, factory electricity and water is a part of the product cost. And more specifically, it's a production overhead cost. So out of this 600,000, 60% is a production overhead cost. All right. So to this, we have to add this electricity and water also. This is electricity and water. Okay. So අපි product cost එක හොයාගත්තා. Product cost එක තමයි the first part of the question. All right. Finding the product cost. This is done. The next part is the period cost. Period cost කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? We learned that period costs are first the administration overheads, then the selling and distribution overheads. And there is another special item. Period cost කියන්නේ basically expenses. Any cost which we expense in the P&L, it's a period cost. Right? Any cost expense in the P&L is a period cost. Examples are administration overheads and selling and distribution overheads. You can say other overheads or finance costs, anything, all are period costs. So the administration overheads given here are 775,000 and 40% of the electricity and water. 40% of the electricity and water would be 600,000 into 40%, 240,000. And then the administrative overhead costs, which are 775,000. Okay. Then the selling and distribution overheads, they have given here 885,000. 855,000. All right. These are the selling and distribution overheads. Now, there is another special period cost item. අපි P&L එක මතක් කරා නම් එතන තියෙන cost මොකද්ද? අපි A level එකේ කරපු එකෙන් මතක් කරමු. Administrative overheads තිබ්බා. Selling and distribution expenses තිබ්බා. Other expenses තිබ්බා. Finance expenses තිබ්බා. ඒකට අමතරව P&L එකේ තව expense item එකක් තිබ්බා. ඒ මොකද්ද? The cost of sales. So the cost of sales is also the cost of production which has been expensed. All right. The part which has not been expensed or the benefit which has not been consumed, we carry forward as an asset. So cost of sales, we have to calculate in order to find the period costs, total period costs. So how do you calculate the cost of sales? This is the total product cost. This is the total product cost. Making portion එකක්, I think I could annotate. No. Give me a second. Right, let's just go ahead with you. Making portion එකක් cost of sales යනවා. Making portion එකක් ඉතිරි balance portion එක closing stock වෙනවා. Right? So we can very straightforwardly do that. මොන portion එකද cost of sales යන්නේ? මේ 6,810,000 එකෙන් we incur this in order to produce 15,000 units of toys. All right. We incur to produce 15,000 units of toys, out of which 10,000 units we will sell. Therefore, this portion of that would become cost of sales. If we take per unit cost 454 rupees, and we sold 10,000 units. Therefore, the total cost of sales is 4,540,000. Okay. The remaining portion is closing stock, 2,270,000. So make cost of sales එකත්. Now remember carefully when they are asking, if they get you get an MCQ asking you all to find the total period cost, do not forget to include the cost of sales into the period cost. හරිද? Cost of sales එක include කරන්න අමතක කරන්න එපා. Period cost එක. Period cost කියන්නේ all the expenses including cost of sales. All right. Now we have done this. The next part would be, the next question is asking us to prepare the P&L statement. On production overheads. On production overheads, mainly admin overheads, selling and distribution overheads, and then finally profit for the year, for the period. Okay. So sales is how much? Equals 750 rupees per toy into 10,000 toys. This is the sales. Cost of sales we have found. That's the cost of sales. Gross profit is sales minus cost of sales. Non-production overheads, we have found the admin overheads total over here. And then the selling and distribution overheads over here. So the profit for the period is gross profit minus admin overhead minus selling and distribution overheads. Okay. So the profit for the period is 1,090,000 rupees. We can prepare the statement of profit and loss, statement of financial position. ඒකේ තියෙන inventory value එක විතරයි. Inventory value එක information එක අපි ගාව තියෙනවා මෙතන. It is the closing stock amount. හරිද? So this is the statement of profit and loss of Gemini Limited. And this is the extract of the statement of financial position. Most probably you will get a question like this in your paper. Either මෙතනින් තමයි economic question එක පටන් ගන්න. Then make a දැක්කම, yeah, you can see here that out of the total production cost, a portion went into cost of sales, a portion which is the unsold or the benefit of the resources sacrifice which we do not consume, we transfer it as inventory, take it forward to the next year. Then one more thing I would like to talk about when it comes to direct and indirect cost classification. Like I said, there are many costs. ඕනම ආයතනයක cost ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. Cost ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. I know it's getting a bit exhausting because we've been doing it from 6:30. මං මේ කැලෙන් නවත්තන්නම් එහෙනම්. I will finish it off from this area and let's do cost classification for based on cost behavior and what? For short-term decision making and what do you call cost estimation techniques and relevant costing all together. ඒක පොඩ්ඩක් හයියෙන් කරමු. එතන තියෙන්නේ ගොඩක් ගණන් තමයි. මේ අද ගොඩක් ටිකක් theory ටිකක් හිමින් කතා කරා because it's very important to build a basic understanding. මේකේ basic understanding එක cost classification එක ගන්න එක හරිම වැදගත්. එහෙනම් පොඩ්ඩක් හිමින් මේ stress කරා. Anyway, we finished the first lesson and we have finished the major portion of the second lesson. We will do the remaining in the next session, hopefully. So ඕනම ආයතනයක cost ඕන තරම් තියෙනවා. Electricity, water, telephone bill, ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. Material cost හරිද? Now some of these costs you can trace to a cost object. හරිද? Some of these costs you can directly trace to the cost object. ඒක තමයි direct cost. I'm kind of summarizing what we learned today. Out of all these costs, some of these costs we can directly trace to a cost object. ඒවට කියන්නේ direct cost කියලා. Some of these costs we cannot trace to the cost object. ඒ හින්දා මොනවද කරන්නේ? we use a certain mechanism. We use a certain mechanism to get a fair portion of this cost. මේ cost එක incur කරේ cost object ගොඩකටනේ. If it's a garment factory, we incur, let's say, electricity bill in order to produce t-shirts, shirts, trousers, denims, all those things. So we try to get a fair portion of this entire electricity bill into this cost object using certain techniques. There are multiple techniques. ඒක තමයි අපි ඉගෙන ගන්න යන්නේ මේ තුන්වෙනි chapter එකේ. මේකද cost assignment කියන එක යටතේ, cost allocation කියන topic එක යටතේ. We are going to learn two of those techniques. අපි මේකෙන් fair portion එකක් මේක ඇතුළට දාන්න හදනවා. ඒක තුන්වෙනි lesson එක. Certain costs that would be look something like this. මේක ඇඳ ගන්න. එතකොට you would මතක තියෙයි. Right? We use a certain technique. We accumulate these costs, all these costs like this. Electricity වගේ තියෙන හැම cost එකක්ම මේව accumulate කරලා මේ තැනට දාලා ඒකෙන් එක basis එකක් පාවිච්චි කරලා මේ cost object එකට දානවා. ඒක තමයි වෙන්නේ මේ තුන්වෙනි lesson එකේ. හරිද? Because of the practical inability or impracticability of allocating, tracing cost into the cost objects. මෙන්න trace කරන්න බැරි හින්දා අපි ඒක allocate කරනවා මෙන්න මේ වගේ එක mechanism එකක් පාවිච්චි කරනවා. Certain costs it never goes into a cost object, rather it just goes into the P&L. නිකම්ම P&L එකට යනවා cost object එකට යන්නේම නැහැ. ඒවට කියන්නේ අපි period cost කියලා. අපි ඒකත් ඉගෙන ගත්තා. මේ cost object එකකින් යන cost එකකින් portion එකක් යනවා asset එකක් හැටියට closing stock එකේ. ඉතිරි portion එක යනවා P&L එකට යනවා. The remaining portion would go into the P&L as cost of sales. Part would go to of all cost subjects within a total product cost එකෙන් t-shirt, shirt හැම එකටම ගිය cost එකෙන් portion එකක් යනවා asset එකක් හැටියට closing stock වලට, portion එකක් යනවා P&L එකට. ඒක වෙන්නේ මේ එතනින් එනවා it's getting connected to the stores ledger account. අපි ඉගෙනගෙන තියෙනවා FIFO method, back method එක. අපි දැන් t-shirt, shirt වලට වෙනම stores ledger account තියා ගන්නවා. ඒකේ accumulate කරනවා එක batch එකේ receipt එකේ පළවෙනි receipt එක 10 rupees එකට 10 t-shirts. Then 5 rupees එකට 5 t-shirts. ඒක මේ වෙනවා ඊට පස්සේ FIFO method එකෙන් back method එකෙන් අපි allocate කරනවා and we have already learned how do you calculate closing stock and cost of sales in the stores ledger account. ඒක තමයි practically වෙන විදිය. All right. Now I hope that you all have understood the basics of this lesson and අපි දැන්ට කළා තියෙන්නේ lesson එකකින් let's say around 40% we have covered. Then තියෙන්නේ mainly cost estimation of 40%, 30% because cost classification for decision making කියන්නේ වැදගත් lesson එකක්. ටිකක් අමාරු lesson එකක් සමහර කට්ටියට. If you all already know that, it's not difficult. ඒක අපි ඉදිරි sessions වල most probably we'll be doing. All right then. Thank you very much for joining. I hope you all learned something today. Thank you very much.